Alright guys, we are back for some championship predictions. It's game week 6, you know the score by now. Do drop your score predictions in the comments down below. But without any further ado, let's jump into the action. Starting out with Friday's game, we've got Stoke City going up against Hull, and I mean, after the week we've had at Stoke, absolutely anything could happen in this fixture. Hull are yet to get going for this campaign. They're still searching for their first win of the season. They were obviously the Friday kickoff last week as well. Weren't great against Sheffield United. Were really susceptible to the counter-attack, and thinking about some of the dribblers that Stoke have in their squad especially, I think they'll be licking their lips going up against this Hull side who can leave themselves badly exposed at the back. Now in terms of Stoke, it's been a really chaotic week with the Schumacher decision which came on Monday. There is a world though where they do get a bit of a new manager bounce in this game, and I do think there is a good chance of that happening, especially up against a Hull side who are yet to find any sort of form so far this season. The first goal does feel big in this one. Important to stress that Hull will have a slightly longer recovery going into this game than Stoke, who were obviously in action in the Cup midweek, but I've just got a niggling thought in the back of my mind that Stoke pull something out the bag here. Score prediction: I'm going to go 1-0 Stoke in that game, and for Hull's misery to continue. Next then, and to the first of the Saturday 12:30 kickoffs we've got going on. That sees Norwich going up against Watford. Norwich coming off the back of consecutive away matches. It's a win and a loss in their last two games, both matches ending 1-0. I've got a feeling this one will be fairly tight as well against a Watford side who haven't typically given that much away to the opposition. They're coming off the back of a 1-1 draw with Coventry at home last time out. Thought they grew into that game, looked a little bit off the pace in the first half, but deservedly got a point in the end based on that second half showing. Feels like the first goal in this game is quite important. I don't know if it's just me, but it has seemed to be the case in a lot of early 12:30 championship kickoffs so far, where there doesn't tend to be that many goals in these fixtures. Score prediction here: I don't think I've backed Norwich yet so far this season, so I'll just edge them for this one. 1-0 Norwich, I'm saying, but the first goal in that game feels quite important. The next daily kickoff we've got on Saturday sees QPR going up against Millwall. QPR coming off the back of consecutive away matches. I think they'll take it. 4 points from their last two. They're unbeaten now in their last 4 matches as well. Obviously, on paper, they've had quite a tough fixture run in recently as well. Didn't think they were great value for money in their last game against Sheffield Wednesday. Definitely rode their luck at points of that match, but you absolutely take it when you don't play your best and you still walk away with a point away from home, especially when you get back into it with a last minute winner as well. Going up against the Millwall side who have been a bit hard to call week to week really. Seems like Millwall this season have been the sort of side where either they're firing a blank and they don't hit the back of the net, or they jump a surprise on you and put 3 past you. There doesn't seem to be much in between with Millwall right now. A loss for them last time out against Luton Town. QPR are yet to keep a clean sheet this season. I'm not sure if that changes in this one. I do fancy Millwall to get at least a goal in this one, but QPR back with home advantage here on a decent unbeaten run. They've been drawing a lot of matches recently, but I reckon they could get all 3 points over the line here. Score prediction: I'm going to go 2-1 QPR in that game, but I wouldn't be that surprised if that ends as a draw. After that, we're heading to the Stadium of Light for Sunderland up against Middlesbrough. Now, for entertainment value, this one I think could be a really watchable game of football. Generally speaking, I think both sides have played some tidy stuff so far this season. It was the first loss of the campaign for Sunderland last time out. They'll be keen to bounce back as quickly as possible, but it's not going to be easy against a Middlesbrough side who have topped a lot of underlying stats so far this season. Results-wise, they've been pretty spotty, but generally speaking, in terms of performances, I think they look quite good so far this season. That was certainly the case over the weekend against my team, Preston North End, where 9 times out of 10, you probably do expect Middlesbrough to win that match with the chances they have, the positions they get themselves into, but as has been the case in quite a few of their matches so far this season, just been too wasteful in the final third. And up against a Sunderland side who, barring last weekend against Plymouth, have been pretty watertight at the back, this will be an interesting clash. Don't think there'll be a great deal between both sides here, but I mean, in saying that, either team has the capacity and quality to blow the other one out the water if they properly turn up for this match, but I'm really not sure which way to call it. I think I'm talking myself into a draw here. Score prediction, I'm going to go for a 1-1er in there between those two. After that, to Ashton Gate, where we've got Bristol City going up against Oxford United. Liam Manning heading up against his former side here, and he really could do with a result in this one. Bristol City have lost consecutive matches, both ending as a 3-0 defeat. Last time out really wasn't a great watch from a Bristol City perspective. It's a little bit strange with them at the moment, because last season we associated them with being quite a solid defensive unit. That couldn't be further from the truth based on their recent performances, having conceded 6 goals in their last couple of matches. And Oxford right now are definitely a side flying high on confidence who have the quality to capitalise a backline that is looking a little bit fragile. In saying that, Oxford yet to pick up a point away from home so far this season. All 9 of their points have come in home matches so far, albeit the 2 games they have had on the road have been pretty tough against a good Coventry side and a Blackburn team who have started the season really well. I'd like to say there will be goals in this one, potentially at either end of the pitch. Score prediction here, I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. I'm close to backing Oxford there. I just feel like Bristol City have to bounce back on the back of 2 really poor performances. After that, to Turf Moor for Burnley up against Portsmouth. The fixture list at the start of the season has been absolutely relentless for Pompey, hasn't it? Still searching for their first win of the season, but boy, they've not been helped out by the fixture list. This one is going to be equally as tough as that West Brom game over the weekend, which they obviously lost 3-0. Been quite impressed with Burnley so far, how adaptable they've been to facing different sides. You'd expect them to be a lot more dominant in this sort of match compared to how they sort of set up in that Leeds match, but Parker got that one spot on. Burnley frustrated Leeds for the vast majority of that game and were just deadly on transitions as they have been throughout this season so far. I fancy Pompey to get into a few good areas for this one, but stacking the 2 sides up against each other, pound for pound, I can't see past a Burnley win in this one. Score prediction for me, I'm going to go for a 2-0 Burnley home win in that game. After that, we go to Cardiff up against Leeds United. Not a great weekend for either of these 2 sides last time out. Cardiff losing against Derby in what felt like a bit of a defining match for that side and Errol Bullock. We're really seeing the pressure applied on Bullock right now after a poor start to the season. Going up against a Leeds side who were fancied as the favourites in that clash against Burnley, but after going behind, Scott Parker had the perfect tactical plan to frustrate the hell out of Daniel Farke's men, and they weren't able to get back into that game. It does feel like a decent opportunity to bounce back in this one for Leeds, it has to be said, against a Cardiff side who aren't scoring a great deal of goals right now, are looking a little bit vulnerable at the back as well. Cardiff have tried to transition the way they've been playing this season, but this is the sort of match up against a really good opposition in Leeds where it just feels like they could do with a ugly sort of 1-0 S-House performance or something like that. But are we going to get it from this Cardiff squad right now? I'm not so sure. Listen, it's the Championship, anything could happen, but on the balance of probabilities, I think I'm backing the Leeds winning this one. Score prediction for me, I'm going to go 2-0 Leeds in that one and back them to get back to winning ways. Next then, to Coventry up against Swansea City. This should be an interesting clash. We saw Cov last time out drawing against Watford. Thought they played well in spells of that match, but it's just a question of whether they can turn those spells into a cohesive 90-minute performance. I think that's what Coventry have been lacking so far this season. Going up against the Swansea side, who obviously got a good result over the line last time out against Norwich City. Home form has been pretty decent for Swansea so far this season. It's really been on the road where most of their struggles have cropped up so far. To be fair, they've had a few difficult matches on the road, and I think this one could be equally as tough if Coventry do show up for this game. Swansea are capable of making things happen, as we saw at the weekend, but I've got a feeling Cov get the result over the line here. Score prediction, I'm going to go 2-0 Coventry in that game. Add that to Kenilworth Road for Luton Town up against Sheffield Wednesday. Luton finally getting their season up and going last weekend with that result away at Millwall. I think in order for them to properly get the momentum rolling and for the consistent results to start rolling in, their strikers especially really need to get off the mark as soon as possible. The longer this sort of goal drought goes on for the likes of Adebayo and Morris, the more difficult Luton could find it to get those consistent results. But a great result last time out against Millwall, nonetheless. A clean sheet in that game as well, which I think will be a real confidence booster for Rob Edwards' side. Going up against a Sheffield Wednesday side who have been really mixed so far this season, certainly in terms of performance levels. Definitely thought that that game against QPR over the weekend was a step in the right direction from a Sheffield Wednesday perspective. If we're being honest about this one, they absolutely should have won that match, but ended up throwing it away late on, and I mean, that's the sort of mistake you just need to learn from, really. They could have killed that game off way earlier than they actually did. It's a tough one to call right now because both teams have been really spotty for results so far this season. Neither team has got any consistency about them right now. I do think with Luton being the home side, I just give them the slight edge in this one. Score prediction for me, I'm going to go 2-1 Luton and back them for consecutive wins. After that, to Bramall Lane for Sheffield United up against Derby County. Great result for both these sides last weekend. Sheff United beating Hull City on that Friday night. Absolutely brilliant on transitions in that game. Gustavo Hamer still proving to be one of, if not the best players in the Championship. And a clean sheet for Chris Wilder's men in that game as well. Derby have been absolutely flying in their home matches so far this season. 3 games at Pride Park, 3 wins on the board already. If they can make themselves difficult to beat in their away matches, coupled with their brilliant home form right now, I mean, that's a recipe for success. You'd think Derby would have no relegation fears if they were able to ride out that sort of form between now and the end of the season. I do think this will be a really difficult game for Derby. Going away to Bramall Lane, I think, will be one of the trickiest games in the Championship this season with the options that the Blades have. To be fair to Derby, they have shown that they can sucker punch sides this season. They have scored in all 5 of their matches so far, but Sheff United have been pretty good from back to front, and score prediction in this one, I'm going to go 2-0 to the Blades. I do fancy them for a win in that one. Next then to the Hawthorns for West Brom up against Plymouth Argyle. It felt like a massive tension lifter, that result for Plymouth over the weekend against Sunderland. There's been a lot of media scrutiny, a lot of external noise with Plymouth this season following along with the Wayne Rooney appointment, but to beat Sunderland in the fashion they did, scoring a last minute winner, yeah, I think that eases the pressure around the place, maybe takes the shackles off some of those players as well, and I don't think it necessarily gives them a free pass coming into this game against West Brom, but like I say, it definitely loosens them up a little bit. You know, you don't want to be going away to the Hawthorns in your 6th game of the season, still looking for your first win. Speaking of West Brom, I've been really impressed with them so far this season. If you've not seen yesterday's video on the channel, make sure to go ahead and check it out. We did a bit of a deeper dive into West Brom and their season so far. It feels like a really settled starting 11 that Carlos Corberán is working with right now, with a strong bench as well of options that he can rely on. Plymouth got a great result last time out, but I really can't look past a West Brom win here, especially at the Hawthorns. Score prediction for me, I'm going to go 2-0 to the Baggies in that one. And then we're finishing the weekend off at Deepdale for Preston up against Blackburn Rovers. It's a Lancashire derby, and I mean, Blackburn fans have to be fancying their chances going into this one. It's been an excellent start to the season for John Eustace's side. They're the joint top scorers in the league right now, and they're going up against the Preston side, who haven't exactly been free scoring up until this point of the season. Ohashi, obviously, one of the standout performers from that 3-0 win against Bristol City last time out. It does feel like in order for Preston to win this game, or at least get something out of it, we need to make it as tight as possible, because Blackburn right now definitely have the firepower to blow us away. In saying that, it was a good result for North End, I thought, last time out over the weekend against Middlesbrough. A 1-1 draw, and it definitely feels like Tactically, we're a lot more switched on under Heckingbottom right now. Over the past couple of seasons, we have had a decent track record against Blackburn as well, but I'm not sure that counts for all too much going into this weekend's clash, to be honest with you. The crowd's going to be up for this one. I'm sure it'll be a good away following from Rovers as well, so there'll be a good atmosphere in Deepdale. Score prediction, I am nervous coming into this one, I'm not going to lie, but I'm going to say it ends level. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw here. I reckon Preston can make this one tight. Well guys, there you have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure to get your score predictions in the comments down below. I'm interested to see which way you guys are swaying for a lot of these matches. Other than that though guys, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.